Every few years, a certain idea resurfaces in American politics. Maybe this California governor is the future. Right now, that idea has a name, Gavin Newsom. He looks the part, talks smoothly, debates aggressively on cable news, and carries himself like someone already imagining a national stage. You don't have to squint very hard to see the presidential ambition. But here's my honest take. I don't think Gavin Newsom wins a presidential election, and I'm not even sure he survives a full general election campaign intact. And it's not because he's unintelligent or unskilled. It's because the thing he can't escape is California itself. For a national candidate, California is not an asset. It's a liability. Newsom governs the most powerful state in the country, but also the most polarized symbol in modern American politics. To his supporters, California represents innovation, diversity, climate leadership, and progressive values. To everyone else, including many independents and swing state voters, it represents high costs, dysfunction, regulatory overreach, and a government that seems detached from everyday life. That perception may be unfair in parts, but politics isn't about fairness. It's about narratives. And Newsom's entire brand is inseparable from California's. When voters in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Arizona, or Georgia hear California governor, they don't picture coastal sunsets and venture capital. They picture $7 gas, unaffordable housing, homelessness, people leaving the state, and a sense that the government prioritizes ideology over outcomes. Newsom doesn't need to own all of that personally for it to stick. The association alone does the damage, and that's where the presidential math starts to collapse. Newsom's strongest skills, media fluency, rhetorical confidence, ideological clarity, actually work against him nationally. He doesn't come across as a unifier, he comes across as a culture war combatant. That plays well on Twitter and cable news. It does not play well in the middle of the country where voters are exhausted by political theater and suspicious of elites who seem to live in a different economic reality. California under Newsom is a particularly tough sell because it's not just culturally progressive. It's structurally expensive. High taxes, high housing costs, dense regulation, slow permitting, businesses leaving or downsizing, manufacturing hollowing out, middle-class families feeling squeezed. You can argue the causes all day, but voters don't argue policy white papers. They ask one simple question: is this working? And for many people, the answer is no. That's the problem Newsom can't spin away. A presidential campaign forces you to defend your record, not selectively, but constantly. Every debate, every interview, every ad would orbit the same gravitational pull. If California is the model, why does it look like this? Newsom might counter by pointing to GDP size, tech dominance, or climate leadership. That will land with donors and activists. It won't land with voters who feel priced out of their own states and are terrified of importing California's problems into their lives. There's also the tone issue. Newsom governs like someone who believes history is on his side. And maybe it is, long term. But presidential elections are not academic debates. They're emotional referendums. Newsom often sounds like he's lecturing the country rather than listening to it. That can energize a base while alienating everyone else. Another challenge: credibility on governance. California's persistent struggles with homelessness, infrastructure delivery, wildfire management, and business retention weaken Newsom's claim to executive effectiveness. Even voters who agree with him ideologically may question whether he translates vision into results. That matters because presidential elections are increasingly about competence and stability, not just values. Finally, there's the electability trap. Democratic insiders may see Newsom as a strong debater and fundraiser. Republican strategists would see him as a gift. Running against the California governor allows them to nationalize every frustration people already have with the state, whether fair or not, and turn Newsom into a walking symbol of elite mismanagement. That's not slander. That's political gravity. Could Newsom win a primary? Possibly. Could he dominate media cycles? Absolutely. But winning a general election requires something different: reassurance, relatability, and trust across cultural and geographic lines. Right now, Gavin Newsom represents a version of America that many voters fear they can't afford, financially, socially, or culturally. And until California stops being a warning story for so many Americans, its most prominent governor will struggle to convince the country that he should run it. That's not a judgment of his intentions. It's a judgment of the political reality he's tied to, whether he likes it or not.